Morning, everyone. Today is session 8. Because I remember when we started on Monday, we were at session 6, and there was a confusion about the number. No, but today is indeed session 8. So welcome back. We are on our last Wednesday, I suppose, penultimate session, and we're gonna learn a lot of stuff. Just getting ready for the grand finale on Friday, which is gonna be a very beautiful project. So let's get started with what we have planned for today. So really, nothing too fancy, but I think if we dedicate a solid amount of time just practicing how to do this properly, then this might be one of the more useful skills that you learn today, and it's how to make drawings. So drawings are whenever you're given a part and they tell you, right, maybe design this part, right? So they give you like this piece of paper that shows you all of the different dimensions and some of the different views of them. And there's certain practices that one has to follow whenever you're doing drawings. So we'll start doing today a warm-up example by taking the Lego brick that you guys designed from before, and we're gonna make our own drawings, and then we'll make it look nice, and we'll convey a lot of information about it. And then we're gonna do something a little bit ambitious, which is trying to make a wooden mannequin. And I'll show you the one that I designed already for you guys to see. It's gonna be fun because that will give us a little bit of practice making an assembly again, making lots of parts relatively quickly, right? We're gonna make it, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on each one of the mannequin's parts. And then we'll make also a drawing out of that because we'll make an exploded view of the mannequin and we can make a drawing out of the exploded view. So interesting stuff, because I'm gonna show you right away what I have planned for session 9, which is this. And I'm really hoping that we'll be able to do it. If you've been to Disney World, Fantasyland in particular, I believe, this is one of the attractions that they have there, one of my favorite ones. So we are gonna design on Friday how to make a spinning teacups attraction with all of the different mates and how you can, just from making one thing spin, you can make all of them spin like in different directions and whatnot, and we can make an animation of that. But in order to do that, we need to go first through today. But before we get started, any questions you guys might have? If not, that's okay. As usual, as we start today, you can ask me anything. But for now, all I'm gonna ask you is if you can just pull up your Legos, your Lego bricks. Well, I'm gonna do the exact same thing over here. Hopefully, yes, there we go. So I'm gonna here open and I'm gonna look for my Lego part. Hide myself. There we go. Excellently. Okay, so just open, once you have your Lego brick open, and it doesn't matter how advanced it is, we're going to make it a relatively simple drawing, right? But the warm-up example is here going to up here, where it says file. So once you've cut it a piece, right? It could be this Lego brick, it could be anything really. You can then click in make drawing from part. So let's click there. And I'm going to say yes. So you see, I already have one drawing made in here, which is really, actually, I wanted to make a new drawing. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my part. I'm going to actually save it as a different part. That way I'll make a new drawing with you guys. I'm going to say, do why not, right? Give her that, but doesn't matter. And now, yeah, I'm going to go back here to file, make drawing from part. And now it should be, right, this is what is gonna pop up. So I'm gonna choose landscape, right? Because and ANSI is generally the standard. So I'll say, okay, good. So you see all of this stuff appears here. And then what I could do is, if I were to expand here, I'm not sure whether in your guys' case is like this little tab appears, it allows you to insert a view. So the one I'm gonna start with is the top. So just drag it over and then just click escape for now. So drag your view and click escape. So now, in my case, it's oriented like this. So if you don't want it to be oriented like this, you can click in the brick and there's like that rotate symbol in there. So I can say, all right, I want to rotate that by, let's say 90 degrees. Let's see. Okay, very good. And I'll say close. Excellent. So now I have my first view of my drawing in here. So you can rotate as you wish. And then another thing I'm going to do is, if you see this tab that appears, I can click OK, right? But if I click again, if I double click on the drawing, that tab appears. So I can go here and say, all right, how do I want this to look like? I can show it shaded. I want, generally you wouldn't show the drawing shaded. What I will change is the scale. I want this to be maybe 3:1. Yeah, that sounds like an appropriate size. So I'm say, okay, good. So now that I got my first view installed, I need to start adding additional views. So the first additional view that I'm gonna add is the following one. If I go here to drawing, every drawing has something that's called an isometric view. So I'm gonna click here on projected view. And you see, if I move my mouse around, it's giving me different views that I can add. So I'm just gonna add this one and I'll click escape. There we go. And I'm just gonna place it right there. There we go. And this one, this is really, it's a view that shows you more or less how the drawing is meant to look like, or how the part is meant to look like. So I can click in that one, and this one, yes, I'm gonna give it color. I'm just gonna place it right around there. You can drag it, there we go, you can drag it like that. This one, I'm gonna move it a little bit upwards, and all of these lines in there, I'm gonna right click in it and say hide. That way I'm not showing all of those views. Then another view that I'm gonna add, well, say actually that let's say I added another view, right? Like I went to project the view and added another one, but then I realized that I don't want that view. I can right click on that view and say delete. Because one, we can start exploring the different features in here. So let's take a look, right? One that I really like, it's called section view. What is section view? I can click in there and I'm gonna say yes, that I want a section view that cuts that in half. I'll say okay. And now it's projecting a view that comes all the way like that. Excellent. And I'll click OK. So this is really telling me, all right, if you were to make a cut across the Lego brick along section AA, and actually I can click on the arrows if I'm not mistaken. I can move them. Actually, yeah, I can move them around. I just wanted to make them. I'm just gonna move there like that. So it just shows you like how the brick would look like in the inside, which is pretty cool. And then another view I'm gonna add is I want to add the bottom view. So how do you add the bottom view? You would do projected view. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add them upwards. So I'm gonna add that one, and then from this one I'll do another projected view, and I'll add it like this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on that one, and I'll say delete. So now this one I'm just gonna bring it all the way down here. And now you see, in general, every view, it's like, say I have like my hand here, right? It's like, I'm projecting first this view, and then this view, and then this view. You're always like rotating by 90 degrees. The views that you're projecting. In this case, I'm projecting this view, then I'm rotating by 90 degrees, then I'm rotating again by 90 degrees. So top, side, bottom. But now you see it's covering all of this space. So I can right click in the drawing and go to edit sheet format. And I can just get rid of all of this stuff in here. So I can say delete. There we go. Delete and delete. I mean, some information that in our case is not relevant, but if you were making a drawing that went for, actually, I can hide this. There we go. If you are making a drawing for something that might get machined, maybe this is the sort of place where you would like to specify things like tolerances or things like material properties or finishing, or maybe how anything in particular about how you'd like your part to look like. And all of these lines, right? You can literally, I can draw lines like this, right? Like for the drawing, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do that because I don't need them in our particular case, but it could be useful in some other applications if you want to make more custom drawings. In fact, I'm gonna get rid of all of these lines. At least this one right here. This I'm gonna hide. I don't need that text. And I'm gonna bring this bad boy all the way there. So now what I can say is, all right, drawn by, and I'm gonna write, say, my initials. So I'll say AE. There, and write, check by AE, AE, AQA, AE, and then date. Today is the 31st of January. Wow. We've done a full month of this year. It went by quickly. So I'm gonna say 0, 1, 31, 24. I'm gonna write 0, 1, 31, 24. And I'll repeat all of that in all of these guys. And you see how it's starting to look like neat, which is pretty nice. Then you can actually print the drawing, maybe frame it, right? You can make it look nice. You can call it your first drawing. And one thing I'm gonna say off the bat is that I'm gonna change it in a moment, but here in comments, slash, I'm gonna call it notes really. Okay, and I'll say all dimensions are in millimeters. Good. All right, so what is your title? I'm gonna call it here the 2x4 Lego brick. Good. And you can drag your title there. We go a little bit down. And I'm gonna say that today, what is it? Today is session 8. So I'm gonna call it session 8-1. And then for scale, we did change the scale. So I'm gonna change that to 3-1. And just, there we go. And now in here, I'm gonna add a little bit of text. There we go. I'll call it. I mean, let's make some publicity for. Or you can that could be your company's name, right? I can do Control A in there, and I believe the font type is Century Gothic. There we go. Say 14. Excellent. There is, and once you're done editing this stuff, you can right click again in the drawing and go to Edit Sheet. So you can go back and forth between one and the other. So I can go back here, Edit Sheet Format, Edit Sheet. So now we got all of this page. So I'm gonna rearrange this stuff in here, right? This one I'm gonna leave it down. So why don't you guys try at least arriving to this point, right? With your drawing, make it look something more or less like this, and then we'll continue like adding the dimensions and a couple more views. So actually, one thing I'll do before we go is that one of these little holes, I will just hide them. Actually, one last thing I'll say is that if I can click in this view, I can go here to drawing and say I want an auxiliary view that comes actually I'm thinking what would be the best way to do this. Oh no, projected view. There we go. I want a view that comes. Oh, let me do it again. Excellent. And now I can just drag it all the way. So you see how one thing that is interesting is that you see how I'm moving this and there's like this little gray dashed line that appears there that kind of constrains the dimension, that like the direction in which I go. If I right click on here, there's I believe I can, where it says alignment, I can click on break alignment. And I believe that allows me to freely move it. I can go back here to alignment and say align. Yeah, you can say default alignment, right? And just it brings it back. But that is just like another thing. The same thing with this one. I can go here to alignment. But this one now I can freely move it in space. I can potentially click on alignment and go to default alignment. I'm curious. No, I didn't do a difference because I deleted the original one, but it's fine. I think this looks more or less appropriately. So now I believe with all of these views, we will be able to convey all the information that we would need to make our Lego brick. So try reaching this point. I'll go around helping you out. You wanna edit the drawing again? You just right click here and go to edit sheet. It appears again. Oh, I've got more view. Go here to, you can say projected view, and you click on say on this, so that one, and you can add up, right? And if you don't like it, right click. That ain't big with that one. You say if you don't that one, I would recommend definitely not view. Okay. Oh, the isometric is projected view from this one. and go like that. And then you can add view and delete the like that. How you gonna over here? Already control. You really don't want that. I did like one a bunch of views like this. You can really convey information. Oh, yeah. So change the song. You go to change that one. When I go here to go use computer science, you can say the space. So everything that is dimension perspective now we can have a little movement. I would change the application view that might be more useful. There is because it fits better in again, just use your imagination. You can do it. And you can do it like drawing in there or as you guys wish, like if you guys are the Lego designers today. Please let me know. How we doing? Yeah, so right here. Someone go through editing format. And now you can start editing. And then to go back right here. And you go to editing. So back and forth, from one space to the other one. Oh, insert the components. Oh, there we go. Oh. And now what I want to see is this down here. I don't know what to use that one, but it doesn't matter. So let's bring, for instance, this view. Let's bring that view. And let's do that. I'm gonna get rid of that one. That one is hard because the one that I would rather you bring is if I do a section view like this. Conveys more information. We split the same view and then you can do that, and then right here change like the scale. Then you can do edit format, change the stuff. Oh, that one is view. Excellent. And let me, I actually want to show you guys one last thing before continuing around is that I believe if I were to click say on this view, right, I can show like the wireframe. So it shows me it's similar to the section view in the sense that again you can play around with what are the sort of ways that you want to display the information. But I like this one because in dark lines it displays like the outline, and in dashed lines it displays more or less how the internal structure looks like. But again, I think the section view is more useful than the wireframe. So I'm gonna just leave it like that. And then you can go here to sketch. That everything will rotate. And then you can change that scale. Or here, yes, on the edge, like a machine. Yeah. The CAD view, yes. You go to section view, then I'm going to choose that one. Now, actually, let me show you guys one more thing is one very interesting thing about the CAD view, right? I'm gonna get rid of it for a second. I'll say delete it. Say you had a more complicated geometry, right? you can go here to CAD view, and I can do a very, I think it might be this one, which is, or is it this one in there? I can literally draw like the way I would want my CAD view to be, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's I can start like that, and then there was one way, I'm not sure, I could like custom draw it, but or was it half section? You can get like creative with how you're displaying. So that one looks kind of funky, right? But that's the trick. I think it was, oh, it was in the Onshape version of how to make drawings. Different software, but it allowed you to draw like a section view that wasn't necessarily a straight line. That it could be like diagonals, and you have like different. Let's see. Oh, I'll just bring it like that again. I see now it's IEC. Then another thing that might be interesting is to display certain details, right? I can do something that's called, where is this book? I can do a detailed view. So what is a detailed view? I can, for instance, click, let's see where would be a good place to do it. I, for instance, click in there, right? And actually, detailed view, I'm gonna do it like here. That's fine. Say, okay. So literally, I did like a little circle in there. So it's like a zoom in version of what's going on in here. So instead of adding a bunch of dimensions there, because it might be like a little bit of a cramped space, I can click on detail view, make that little circle, and then it shows me like that detail over there. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Yeah, just playing around, like nothing too fancy. Do it like that. And we still haven't started doing the fun stuff. Like this is, let's see if there's a different, or maybe, I mean, there's a bunch of other views that I normally don't use, but I think these ones are the standards, right? The section view and the detail view are my favorite one. Okay, I think let's continue adding a bunch of things, right? So one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hide in here those little, all of those circles there, but I don't need them. So now, how do you add dimensions, right? Because this drawing, it looks nice, right? But it's like meaningless. It doesn't really portray any information. So the first thing I'm gonna move that in there. That way we're using space effectively. So you go to Sketch, and you literally click in Smart Dimension. I'm not kidding. Like this is the stuff that we've been doing, and you start dimensioning stuff, right? And actually, I should say, where it says IPS, I'm gonna change it to millimeters. That way the numbers are showing in millimeters there. Very nice. So, and one thing that is extremely important is that we are consistent. So every time we write dimensions, we want to do it 2 decimal places at least. So if you're writing a dimension, you're going to use 2 decimal places. Don't write like 16 or 16.0 or 0.1. Always say 0.10, right? Like always, it's the consistency is what makes drawings look nice. So I'm gonna add all of the dimensions that would be relevant in a case like this one. Good. So I'm gonna say 9.6. Control Z. I wanna add the height. And then here's a difficult one. I wanna add the height of the Lego. And look at what I can do, right? It says 0.10, right? And where it says dimension text, I can say Lego text extrusion. So you can literally specify. So the key about drawings, right? And this is why I like them is that it's up to you of how much information you want to convey in them. The more information, the better, right? Because then you hand this off to someone, and that someone has to be able to build this Lego. In fact, what I'm gonna do in here is I'm gonna draw a bunch of center lines, right? And I'm gonna literally tell them how we did our Lego, which was something along these lines, right? It was we drew the center lines here, right? It was going from the top like that, and then we went like this, and I believe the distance between that and that was like yeah like 2.9. And I'm gonna say actually okay, but in dimension text I'll say for text extrusion. That way, if you are the guy that is designing this afterwards in SolidWorks, you know exactly how you're meant to be doing this, right? That there's supposed to be a line there. I'm gonna yeah, well, like that. I'm just gonna leave it that way. People know. Then another thing I can say is, for instance, you see how there's that little chamfer in there, so I can, go here to annotation, go to note, and I can click in there. You see how the little arrow appears. I can just go all the way like that, and I'll say fillet extrusion edge, and I'll add in here R 0.10. I believe was the extrusion that we're gonna leave the note like that. Very good. And now we need to dimension this. So I'm gonna go back to sketch, and I'll do a couple of center lines. I go from here to there. Very good. And then another one that goes from here to there. And you'll see I'm not gonna draw a lot of them. I'm just gonna draw the bare minimum to convey the arrangement of these circles, right? I'm gonna leave it like this. And then I'm gonna dimension all of these center lines, and then I'll write a note saying, all right, linear pattern times 8. I'm gonna say, all right, that one is 4. Very nice. Nice and neat. Yeah, dimension driven, that's fine. 4, very good. 8. And then this one right here is also 8. And then for our letter C, I'm gonna place it right there. That way it's not bothering me. There we go. And now I can add a little note that comes, no, it's annotation really. It says linear pattern 8x. I click escape. Now, so we're starting to portray all the information. Now, if you look at this side of the drawing, you know that each one of these circles are 1.8. But another important piece of information I'm not yet stating is how wide are these circles too, right? So you need to think about, am I actually putting all of the dimensions that have to appear here? So then I go here to smart dimension, and I can, there we go, just give that. I think that'll be like the best way. Maybe I'm gonna do it on this one. I'm just I'm just playing around to see like what are the different options that There we go. Okay. So like this one, like that. 4 point. Good. So at least on the top side of things, we are pretty much covered. Now, we more or less have the other side. Now it starts to get trickier once we start dealing with the bottom side of the brick, right? Because there's also some features that are associated with that. And if you're giving me section CC, it's like a little bit tough to realize, right? Like what are the sorts of dimensions that I'm meant to be putting there? Like it's hard for me to tell what the Lego is supposed to look like if I'm looking just at this face, right? So unfortunately, I have the bottom view. Another actually important thing that I can say is that I'm gonna write a little note in here. I'm gonna say that is the bottom view. I mean, I want to make it extremely obvious that this is what we're talking about in here. In fact, I'm gonna move all of my stuff in here. I'm gonna write another note up there. Let's call top view. Very good. This bottom view again, bring it down a little bit more. And yeah, everything is like dragged together, which is nice. It's like a nice functionality of Solidworks drawings. Yeah, section CC. And this one I'll go. And right by this one I'll go and I'll write side view. That way this is all nice and clear. Very good. So I'll start working before I start adding more dimensions here. Just start playing around and walk around, helping you guys out to answer any questions. Oh, just go here to sketch. You can, as usual, you can click on the little triangle. Start here, adding notes. You can draw try to do them just between the third, like three of the circle, right, on the top left corner. Because I think that's enough, right? You know how much you need to pattern in this direction, how much you need to pattern on the other one. How are you doing here? Oh, actually, one last thing that you just made me realize is, it says Lego in here, right? But why not? I'm gonna add an additional note. Because I think I'm being a little bit extra, but why not? I'm gonna tell them this is actually Calibri font type. If anybody uh, wants to ever. There we go. I think it was 5, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just leave it there. So now, yes, now somebody's getting this drawing and cannot complain about how to make it. Like they should figure out everything. Anyway, I'm gonna do a couple more dimensions in here. So before I'm gonna leave section CC towards the end because that is one of the one of the more difficult ones. So I'm gonna start with these ones, and this is tough. So maybe the first thing I'm gonna do is just like before, I'm gonna go here to sketch, and I'm gonna draw a bunch of center lines because I'll need them to define the position of these pockets. So that's the thing that they are called pockets, right? Whenever you have like a little extrude cut. So that's exactly what I'm gonna say. Let's start by giving these our usual dimensions. Very nice. Let's add one over here. I'm not sure who is planning in here doing an internship at Lego, right? But I mean, if you ever have an interview with them, you know, you already have all of the interview material, right? You're prepared for that. So one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little smart dimension. Maybe this is where this comes handy. There we go. Very good. I'm gonna you can double click in that dimension and then I can do a space and then there's this little symbol that's called hold depth and I'm gonna say what is it? I think it was like 1.20. There we go. So that way you're communicating literally with those two dimensions. I already know exactly what's going on. A hole that is 2 millimeters in diameter and has a depth of 1.2. And then another thing I can do is then do I'm gonna add a note in here that says again linear pattern. Let's see, linear pattern 8x. Very good, but I don't like it like that, so I'm gonna there. I'm thinking, yeah, sometimes it a little bit messes me. I'm just gonna get rid of it. I'll do it somewhere else, maybe like there. Gucci, there we go. And another important thing is I'm gonna add the smart dimension, and I believe it is between here and here. Yes, that is meant to be 1.2. And because I'm lazy, I'm gonna say 1.2 and I'll say uniform wall thickness. I'll just leave it. There. That's fine. Like that. That's fine. Very good. And then again, yeah, I'll leave it like that. And then this uniform wall thickness message, I'm gonna repeat it again in here. That way, you know, we make it particularly obvious that that is the case. The stand, yeah, like more or less what I'm doing here is approximately the standard, but it's really up to you, up to the company you work for, right? They have their own, up to you if you're like, I mean, your own boss, which many of the, sometimes you might be. But really that company that you are, or I mean, there's also like ANSI and I saw something like that. It's like international regulations. Uh, but in reality, more or less showing the views like this, right? One, then 90 degrees, then another 90 degrees, and then 90 degrees. That's the way you're meant to be doing it. There 1.2, and I'm gonna add a little note. This is yeah, well, that way. So nice and neat in there. So now, what is tricky about this stuff, right, is that these cylinders, they correspond to those over there. So now we need to define, I need to go back here to sketch. I'm gonna do like a line that goes more or less like this. Here's the center line, and I'm gonna go all the way to the top, and all of these lines are equal, right? I can say, actually, the way I'm gonna do this, there we go. Actually, let's start giving these guys some dimensions. Yeah, that is 8. Good. It's 8. What? Okay. Very nice. Let's add that one over there. That is 8. And that is 8. Very, very nice. And now, yes, I got this linear pattern in here. Now let's define these guys in here. All I can say is, what would be a good way of doing it? So maybe I'm gonna select that one. I'll say that's 4.8. And maybe I can say I want the wall thickness, if I can define that. I think that's almost. Is it doing that? Very good. And I just have to play around with now exactly I want to dimension everything, but I think that looks about right. And now I need to specify like the height of this stuff. And that's where I use section CC. So here's where I would say 8.4. Very good. That's how we know. And then there's all of these bunch of lines, and I can add just a note that says annotation. Right. Oh, I don't want to do that. And I want to move this maybe there. There we go. Yeah, for the edge, I'm gonna say R 0.10. Very good. I think we are pretty much done. Looking at this drawing, do you guys think there's anything, any dimension that we haven't yet mentioned in here, or does it have all we need? Like I'm trying to think. In other words, this is a very difficult exercise to do, but if you're given your own drawing, right? Can you? It's difficult because you are the designer as well, right? So you remember like from common sense how to design this part. But you've never seen the brick before. You're from a different planet, yet you do understand drawing, right? Let's say you get taught similar stuff. So you're given this drawing. Can you design the brick with all of these dimensions? I think yes, from looking at this. Otherwise, I'll let YouTube determine that. So YouTube, whenever you see this video later tonight, let me know in there. Any questions before we move on into something else? Are we feeling comfortable level of comfort making drawings? Good. You can practice on your free time. But I think this is a nice part with a decent amount of features to do. So now let's do something more fun. So let me save this because I think it's a nice looking drawing. I'm gonna save it here as they got brick drawing. Yes, excellent. Good. So now let's open what I want to do with you guys, which is something more or less like this guy. And let me close my. I want to collapse again. So I made a mannequin, and the idea for making the mannequin is twofold. First, I'm doing something different, right? Because the class is called how to CAD almost anything, right? So you should be able to look at a mannequin and say, I can CAD this. The other one is because I like this mate. This mate is called a ball joint mate, in the sense that, look, I'm just moving like the guy. You can do animations in SolidWorks. I'm not sure we'll have time today to do it, but with a guy like this one, right? You could potentially, like every single joint, or this one is looking like it's about to fight, right? And they can like just raise the legs. The only joints that are not ball joints are the ones here in the knees that I made, that I constrained them to only move in a singular direction. And the same thing here with the elbow. So we're gonna learn how to do a simplified version of this guy. It's on the website if you guys want to take a look afterwards. You see it moves on around, but my idea is making an oh wow, it's looking like it's about to jump or something like that. It's like an interesting pose. Also, the mouse, the hands look like mouses, right? Like the mouse that you use for a computer. But I based this myself from the internet. In any case, I want to make an exploded view of this guy once we design it together. And you can do also drawings of exploded views. My original intention was making a drawing for each individual part of this, but I think that would take a lot of time. So let's make a simplified version of this. We're gonna make it very easy, nothing too fancy. Probably the dimensions will be entirely off, but that will make it a lot more fun. So let's get started. So let's go here to File, New. Now let's start a part. And this one, it's gonna be like a doll kind of thing. So we're gonna make like an easy version of this thing. So to make the body, what I'm thinking is maybe doing like a singular shape. And we'll use inches for this case, right? So I'm gonna make a body that is about 2 inches tall. Then I'm not gonna, in contrast to the mannequin, the one in there, I want to make like the ball joint in the body. We'll make it like a rigid body structure in there. What I'm gonna do is I'll just play around with spline, right? Like you can, and it's also make it your own mannequin as well, right? I'm gonna make it something. So I'm gonna do a rotation afterwards of this structure here. Oh, let me. Good. So I'm gonna make a couple of center lines. Excellent. In other words, the assignment is called mannequin. It could perfectly be called toy, per se, uh, because you're making like a little action figure. Yeah, I feel like this is gonna look kind of weird, but that's fine. That will make it a little. I don't want to dedicate too much time to doing it. Say tangent, very good. And then another thing I'm gonna ask you guys to do is just draw a center line, say from here to there, to give an example, and then from here to like there, more or less, because that point is gonna mark afterwards where we're gonna have the joint, like say the joint for the arm, and that point is gonna mark afterwards where we're gonna have the joint for the leg. And don't worry about fully defining stuff. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So then I'm gonna go here to features, revolve, and I'm gonna revolve this thing, right? Actually, it doesn't look too bad. It's gonna be like a very cylindrical nature kind of structure. But what I do want to show is I'm gonna right click on the sketch and I want to show it. So one thing I'm gonna right away do is I'm gonna create a plane that is on this point and on that line. And then I'm gonna create another plane that is on that point and on that line, as we had said. And then just one last plane that is in this point and on that line. There we go. So now we got 3 planes, and as you probably guess it, what I'm gonna do right there in all those 3 planes, I'm gonna do 3 spheres. So one in each one of them. And those freers will essentially represent the joint of our mannequin's body. So I'll start with plane free, for instance, right? And so what you can do is just plane free is up there, and we can standardize like the size, right? We can make them 0.3. So I'll make a line that goes like that. I'll click on this one. I'll click on that one. I'll make them equal. I'll make that 15. So then you make a little half circle. All the way like that. Boom. Dimension that. And then go down to features, revolve around there. And then you have joint number 1. Maybe we could have, instead of doing it like that, we could have raised it up a little bit more, but I'm happy. I'm thinking actually, let me edit this for a second. Now that one I'm gonna leave like that. The one I'm gonna perhaps make differently might be this one. Actually, I wanna get rid of this. There we go. I'm gonna do it slightly differently. I'm gonna create another plane that is parallel to plane 3. I'm gonna shift the offset and I'm gonna make it parallel at 0.02. There we go. And you'll see why I'm doing this in just a second. And then I'm gonna do a sketch now in the plane that is, actually I think I chose the wrong one. There we go. Sketch on the top one. There we go. I'm gonna draw again. I'm gonna do the half circles. Fifteen or 15, good. And now the reason why I did that, and you'll see it in just a second, is because now it has a little bit more of a neck in the sense of, so now I can say go back to plane 4 and edit plane 4, and I can say, right, I want it to be 0.04, and you'll see that again the circle, the sphere is coming off by a little bit more. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing with, I'm gonna actually hide these ones, so I don't need them. I'm gonna now create another plane that is parallel to that one also by 0.04. And I'm gonna repeat the exact same thing. I'm gonna bring the spheres. Right? Oh, I'm gonna convert entities at that point. Sometimes for that some reason it doesn't like selecting the origin. You have to play around. Click on that, equal 0.15. Very good. And then revolve. So now we have our joint on the side. Obviously, that is a little bit too big. Maybe, we could go back to the drawing board and change the size. We'll leave it like this for now. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to do the ball joint on the bottom. So, no, plane right over there. Very good. Convert entities. I want to convert entities that point. Very nice. And I'm going to make a line, make another line, control, equal 115. This would be a good case where I could have used the variables, right, that we learned the other day in class, and say instead of having to change everything manually, I could have done it like that. In fact, I may do it in just a second. Just to change the dimension of this thing. And now I hide this. And now what we can do with our, this looks like if you grab like a banana and you made like a, like a little toy figure out of it. That's literally what we might be doing today, which is kind of fun. I'm gonna mirror this boy and that boy. There we go. So now we got the body. So I'm gonna save this immediately as, I'm gonna create yet a new folder here. I'm gonna call it ma2. Because I wanna call that body. As I start walking around, give it a shot. Don't make it too fast, just make it work. While you guys work on this, I'm gonna, just for you, I wanna show you something. Since you're done. You can do, now you guys don't worry about this, right? Unless you already reached this point. But you can go here to your front plane and you can do another plane. I mean, for those that are done, feel free to do this with me. And now I'm gonna go here and do a sketch. And now I can say convert entities of, oh, I wanna select the outline. That way I know more or less what's the, just to have an idea of the size, right? How constrained I am by size. And just like, you guys didn't do the snowman with me last time. So we're gonna do the, like a snowman kind of thing. So I can join this in here. And it's you can make this guy be like Iron Man, or you can do whatever you want, right? But for example, in my case, I'm just gonna give it like some buttons. I'm gonna make all of these guys, I'm gonna make them equal. And you guys don't need to do this unless you're already done with like the body part, which is fine. I'm gonna give that a 0.2, and then I'm gonna make all those little circles equal. Then I'm gonna make that. Let's make them bigger. I can exit, and now what I can do is features, then wrap, then click in here, click in there, and I can say, yeah, I think that's fine. So now my guy has, for us, you can do like a design on the body to make it look like a little bit nicer. I'm gonna hide this. Anyways, let's continue. That way, like we can do some other stuff. But now I'm gonna start creating the joint that it's gonna be the same joint for both the leg and the arm, right? So that way we can save some time. So now I'm gonna do a new part. And the way that we're gonna do this joint is super duper easy, like nothing particularly difficult. So we go here to sketch, choose any plane, it doesn't matter. And then I'm gonna do a line that, so I made my body about 2 inches. So I'm gonna make one of the joints like 1. Again, the dimensions are a little bit, they're gonna be fun. And then, so we made, in my case, the joint was 0.15. So for that reason, I'm gonna make these guys also being maybe yeah, I'll make them 0.15 as well. Maybe this bottom one, I'll make, instead of 0.15, I'll make it 0.12. That way it looks a little bit better. And then with the spline, I'm just gonna draw a bunch of points that look like that. Very good. And all I'm gonna do is go here to features, revolve, and I'm gonna revolve this. So that's gonna be, it's gonna be our arm in just a moment, because then I go back to our original plane. I go here to sketch, And I'm gonna do a convert entities of that line, and I'm gonna make that a construction geometry. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my line in there. I'm gonna do a circle. I'm gonna make that 0.3, but that's the size of our joint. And I'll make that 0.05. That sounds fine. But then I'll make this line be a construction. There we go. And then all I'm gonna do is something like this. So it looks, so you have a circle that looks like that. And then I'm gonna go to features and I'm gonna do a revolve cut. And I'll say that I wanna cut it like this. So now you're left with the space where the joint is gonna happen. So just to review, right? I cut it an outline, more or less with the dimensions that I had. I did a circular, I did a revolve around that axis, and then I did a cut revolve of this stuff on the top. So now I'm gonna save this as arm leg one. Let's see if that's a valid name. That's not. I can go back to now. I can start an assembly. I can go to file, new, assembly. And I'm gonna bring the body, right? Which is what we had before. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna insert components and I'll bring the arm leg. And then once you start putting things together, you'll see where things might require a little bit of attention and where they might not. So then I can say Command C, and I can copy paste four of these ones, right? So if you see in the bottom, right, I can go here to mate. And all you need to do is as easy as clicking in this face and clicking in that face. And you see that all I want to do is make them tangent. Or should I make them, I think concentric might be better. Yeah, let's do them concentric. There we go. So now we got our leg. The same thing here. I'm going to choose here. And I'm going to choose there. And now our guy has, like, maybe it might be too short. We'll see. And then I'm going to do the same thing here and there. Right, so you see that maybe the leg is a little bit, the arm is a little bit too big. You see how, so I'm gonna do something there afterwards in just a second. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. But it's starting to look like our action figure, mannequin, whatever you wanna call this weird thing. But now you can go back, for instance, to body. So if you've done it the way I've done it, right, that was by creating an additional plane, right? Because in there, what I might do is I might go here to edit plane. I might bring it outwards by a little bit more. That way, in the assembly, and now it updates perfectly. So again, yes, it has a little bit of wiggle room there to bring the. So the arms will only go that far down, which is fine. You know, I don't need it to. There's some logistical challenges associated with this. I mean, another thing that we could do instead is I can always go back to body and then go back to our original sketch. And I can just bring that point downwards. Like that. And then if you go back to like the assembly, you say yes. And now you see that that might do a little bit of a trick. In fact, it looks a little bit better this way. So now I'm gonna start walking around, helping you guys out to more or less get to this point. And the next thing that we're gonna do is design the joints for like the elbows and the knee. That we're at this space, I think the next thing that we can do is I'm gonna do the following thing, right? So now I'm gonna make the joint that is gonna, so we're gonna start designing the next arm. But to do the next arm, I'm gonna play around from this one a little bit more. So just a couple of things that I'll do continuing with this one. I'm gonna go here to sketch and look here, sketch. Oh, sketch. So you see how this is now a plane, and I'm gonna draw a straight line. Because actually, before we do anything, just exit your sketch, right? First, I'm gonna create a plane that is in that face, and I don't want any offset. In fact, I'm just gonna make it a zero offset in the sense that I want that plane to be exactly matching that face. I'll say okay. You'll see why we'll be using all of that in a second. And then if I edit my sketch in here, now yes, I can go back here to edit face, very good. So now let me just define that. Now go to features, and I'll do a revolve of this stuff just like that. Very good. Because now this is kind of going to act like I guess the continuation, right, of our arm afterwards, right, when we have the elbow structure. And maybe I could have done, when I go here to the revolve, one thing that I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna make a center. I mean, you guys don't need to do this is just me because I wanna make it look nice, right? But I want this and this to be tangent. There we go. Because now when we come back here, you see that it's the same. There's no change in curvature between this line and that line because I made them tangent. Kind of like a weird arm. Maybe I might change it again. Sometimes you need to be playing around with this quite a bit to understand the effects. But there we go. And the reason why I did that is because now I'm gonna do another sketch over here. Very good. And I'm gonna do a rectangle that is like this. Make it, I don't know, 0.5, like a reasonably big size. And then this make it 0.05. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I'm gonna extrude upwards. I'm gonna extrude that triangle so in the other direction. Oh, there we go. So extrude upwards, I'm gonna extrude it by 0.4. It doesn't matter. It has to, in fact, I'll say through all upwards. And then on the opposite direction, what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna actually extrude it just by not through all, I'm gonna say blind 0.05. I'm just gonna leave like that. Good. Now we're defining something that is starting to look like our joint. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do another sketch in actually let me just hide that plane. There we go. I'm gonna do another sketch in that face. I'll do a sketch here. And what I want to do is a circle that goes from here to there. There we go. And it's exactly what size does it have? I'm gonna make it 0.12, which is the same. There we go. Actually, no, I'm kidding. I'm gonna make this circle and this circle, I'll make them tangent. There we go. And I'm gonna grab this line and I'm gonna go like this. And what I'll do is I'll go here to features, extrude cut, and I'm gonna extrude cut up to that surface. And you'll see how this is gonna look like in a second. Good. So now we essentially drew the slot in which, when we're bringing the joint, right? When we do then the next arm, it's gonna have like a little slot that is gonna go inside there. So this is both your knee and your elbow. And just to finish it up, to make it look nice, I'm gonna do yet one other sketch in here. And I'm gonna make a center line that goes from this point to this point over there. Very good. And then I'll do a little circle. It just so happens to be the point of the origin, but it may not necessarily be the same in your guys' sketch. I'll make that circle 0.05. And I'm gonna extrude cut in both directions. So I'll say through all and through all. Boom. So now we have our joint part. So if I go back to the body, I know actually if I go back to, where is it? Our assembly, you see everything updates dynamically. So I can just then we're gonna start defining how it's gonna look like from the outside. So give that a shot. Let me bring it back here. We're getting closer to being done, which because then we'll do this and we should be good. I'm gonna make just one last joint and then I'll let you guys figure out how to do the other ones on your own because it's not that we have a ton of time, but I just want to finish how the other side of this thing would look like. So I think the best way for me to do this is to literally go here to file and I think I'll just start it as a, I think I'm just gonna go for this one. I'm gonna say save as copy and open. I'm gonna say I want to save this one as number 2. Just keep the original document open. That's fine. So now I am working on number 2. That's good. So just a couple of things that I'm going to make differently in this one, right? For instance, in this one, yes, I'm going to leave that, but I'm just thinking about what's coming up afterwards, right? In the one that I just created, I'm going to make that joint be 0.1. So just a lot smaller, and that distance is going to be like 0.01. Actually, that's very small. I'll make it 0.2. That's fine. I'm gonna leave it like that. Very good. And then when it comes to the actual revolve, that distance, I'm gonna make it 0.11. Wait. So I'm just like playing around. So I'm gonna make this be the top afterwards. So I say exit, good. So now we're left with all of this stuff. So now I need to convert this into, I have an idea of how I'm gonna do this, but the way to do that is that then all of that revolve, I would need it. In fact, I'm not gonna need pretty much anything of that. So I can just get rid of all of those. There we go. The only thing I need is this. I'll say delete, yes. That's fine. But what I'm gonna go do is go here to sketch. There we go. I'm gonna convert, no, actually I'll just do it this way. I'll make a little rectangle. Goes all the way like that. And I'm gonna make the size of this one be 0.05. There we go. And now I'm gonna, is that the best way to do it? No, I think, let me just exit. I think there's a better way of doing it. I'm gonna go to this plane. I'll do sketch. There we go. And now, yes, I'll do a little line that goes from here to there. Then a little line that goes from here to here. And then I'll do a semicircle. It goes all the way like that. Actually, I'll do 2 lines. They go like that. I'll click on these 2. I'll make them equal. And then I go like that. And I'm gonna define that length to be 0.05. There we go. So now I'm gonna extrude this in 2 directions by 0.05 in one, 0.025 in one, and by 0.205 on the other one. Very good. I say okay. So now this is where our joint will interface. And then just because I'm a little bit extra, what I can do is I can do a sketch in this phase As you see, there's a little bit of material that is sticking out, and I can do convert entities, and I can convert entities, all of those faces. Just like that, good. I can go create two features, extrude cut, and just say through all. Need to select all of them. That way it preserves the curvature. Excellently. Very good. And now if you do a sketch in there, I can click in center line. Oh, make that 0.05. Then extrude cut. Yeah, that's fine. And now what we can do is bring this bad boy towards here. So we go back to our assembly. And now insert components, arm leg 2. So how is this gonna interface? I can grab this thing and I can rotate it by a little bit. There we go. And now I can mate. I'm gonna mate this face and that face. There we go. And then I'm gonna mate this circle and this circle. Boom. And there you go. You got an articulation. So this one is just, I guess, waving hi to its friend because it's like extending the arm. And I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add the articulation in all of them. So I'll bring again this one. I'm gonna rotate. There we go. And I can say mate. Mate like that. And then connect here, connect there. And you see how it seems to be mostly working out. There's a couple of details that I need to modify. For instance, you see how there's this is like bumping against there. What that means is if I go back to arm leg 2, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a sketch. And I'm just gonna remove some material from here. So I'm gonna do like a big you guys don't need to do this, just one. This is just me being a little bit extra, but and then I can mirror it, so it doesn't matter. Just do it. There we go. Do it's fine. I need to close it off. Right in there. Wait. And I'm gonna mirror around that plane. Very good. That cut. Then if I go back to our friend the assembly, there is no longer an interface there. So that's good. I mean, ah, not bad. I think it looks decent. And then let's insert this bad boy there. So you see, maybe what I might do is that since this is the leg, I can make that one longer, right? So maybe I can just delete that one. And all I can do is go back to arm leg 2 and I can say, right, file save as. I'll call it arm leg 3, doesn't matter. That's Solidworks. Give original document. And all I'm gonna do is maybe make that length be instead of 1.5. Doesn't make a lot of difference, just that way when I go back to our assembly, I can insert in here. I'm gonna bring number 3. That way it's just a little bit taller. Huh? And before I do that, I'm gonna select all of this. Control C, Control V. I'm gonna paste it there as well. And you see, one of the more difficult things about this toy, I guess it's positioning it, because it has, when I move like one joint, the other one moves as well. I'm gonna make those two concentric. Then I'm gonna choose this face. Choose that face in parallel, and then this and that. There we go. Ah. All right, so try reaching this point with the joints, and then we can end by making a generic. I'll just make a feet, right? I'll make it handless, or guy, but I'll make the feet once you guys make the joints. But actually, one thing I do before I continue walking around in here, just in the interest of time, that way you guys can afterwards go back to the recording, is I'll make a fit for this guy, right? So very, very simple fit that I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go here to file, new, I'll make a part. And the same concept goes for making the hand, right? But if I'm making the fit, I'll just go here to top plane. There's gonna be I don't even know how big the fit will be, but let's make it 0.75, maybe that might be fine. And then we can make like that, and then make a little center line that goes like this, and a little center line, there you go, like that. That. I mean, the reason why I like making these center lines is because then I just click on this, then I click on the center line, and I make them tangent. And the same thing with this and that, I make them tangent. There we go. Then I'm gonna mirror this stuff around here. And then I'm just gonna extrude upwards by, yeah, 0.1 is fine. So then I'm gonna make another sketch here in the front plane. So this don't worry, this is just, you'll have it on the video. You don't need to do it now. Now just continue working on whatever you're working. This is just for completion afterwards. Make a little hemisphere. It's gonna be like a Japanese like sandal that I'm designing. I love it. I'm gonna make this over there, maybe 0.15. Maybe that height, I'll make it 0.05. Good. And then I'll make a center line that goes all the way from here to there. I'll make that construction, then a hemisphere. Goes all the way like that, and then I'll go features, revolve, and revolve like that. And then just, we can add a couple of details, maybe over here. Maybe that might be too large. There we go. I call this fit. Say save. Oh, fit is already open. I'm gonna fit 2 then. And then we can go back to our assembly. And it's possible that we probably need to modify the dimensions, right? But this is just to have it. The fit is a little bit flat, I would say, but that's fine. The length seems about fine. And I can now here go to mate. Mate. There we go. I guess something very important is I haven't even done the head of this guy, which is another important. I cannot leave without doing the head. Let me do really quickly the head. Let's do like a new part. Again, it's gonna be a very similar concept to making the feet. I'll make it a 1 inch tall. I can make it like a very simple head, which could be 1 inch tall. Very good. And then I'm gonna, so that was 0.3 below, which means I'm gonna make this also approximately say 0.25. And then I'm gonna just making a spline that goes. Gonna be like an extraterrestrial guy, this one. I'm gonna then revolve around there. Good. And then I'm gonna do a sketch. There we go. Coming from here. And then I'm gonna do a circle. That is 0.3 in diameter. And then 0.05. I could have done it. I could have done the head a little bit smaller, which is I'll end up doing in just a second. Convert entities. I'm gonna draw a line that goes all the way like this. And I'm gonna revolve cut there. Good. I wanna edit this 1 second. I did that massive. That should have been 15. I'm satisfied with that, and I can save that as. You can make a hat as well if you want. Why not? You can be creative and say head to. So now we can go back to the assembly. And you insert components. Head to. Go here to make. Here's the make. Very good. I just do it like that. At least you have it on the video how to make everything but the hands. So for the hands, you can surprise me and do something fun. Make a weapon if you want, or maybe make it handless. You can leave it like that. I don't know, whatever you guys want, but I don't know. This one is like having fun. It's very happy, and this is where you could get creative, 3D print something like this. But I'll do this. I'll stop the recording now, and I can stay helping you guys with anything that remains. And I'm gonna look for we me. So we me looks something like this guy in here, like nothing too fancy. So hopefully we're gonna attempt to cut something like this using our imagination. That looks like a little cylinder kind of thing. So let's give it a shot. Maybe it's gonna be fun. So let's start by doing the body, right? So I'm gonna go here to front plane. And I'm gonna cut first like the top part of the body. I'm gonna make that like 1.5, and then this, let's make the stomach of this guy. That would be too much. 0.5. Because we're gonna do a revolve at one point. Then as usual, I'm gonna use my friend the center line. Make a 0.5 there. You'll see why I'm doing that in a second. And I'm gonna do another center line over here. And this is fun, right? Because I'm not gonna spend a lot of effort like making these parts, right? It's just this is like a very quick way of building, I guess, a figure. And I click on those two, control, I'll make it tangent, very good. I'm gonna click in here, click in there, make that tangent, very nice. And now one last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here to center line, I'm clicking here and I'm gonna make that line like that. And that line will be useful in just a moment. Just make a line like that. And then go back to features, revolve, and I'm gonna click in there. So now we got the top part of our we person. And I wanna make like the bottom part. And the reason why I'm making it in two separate parts is because I'm gonna make it slightly that way I can color it. Because instead of making this thing be like that 0.5, I'm gonna make it 0.49, just slightly less, but noticeable, so that maybe 0.95, or just like right on the boundary. That way it looks like if it was two different parts and I can color it differently. So the bottom, that is 0.4. And then I'm gonna make two center lines as usual. I never thought I was gonna have the privilege of making a we human in SolidWorks. I never thought I was gonna ever have the idea of making a we human in SolidWorks, but no. Life can be full of surprises. The other day, I was in YouTube and I saw that the new Mario versus Donkey Kong game came out on the Nintendo, and I may be one of the targeted audiences for that sort of entertainment. Great movie, by the way, the Mario movie. If you haven't seen it, I make that tangent and tangent. Yeah, that looks about right. And now I can do another revolve around here. Actually, before I do, I'm gonna do yet another line, another center line that goes from here to like there. And again, you'll see why in just a moment. Maybe I'm gonna bring this line. There we go. That looks good. Now, yes, revolve. Excellently. So now we have the main body of our me person. Now, what I want to do is I'm gonna show these two sketches, show them, and I'm gonna create a bunch of planes. I'm gonna create a plane that is in that point and that line, and then I'm gonna create yet another plane that is offset by, I'm gonna say 0.05. There we go. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing down here. I'm gonna create a plane that is in that point and that line, and then I'm gonna create another plane that is offset by that plane, 0.05, and the same concept up here. Plane that is on that point and that line, and then another plane that is offset by that 0.05. And then I'm gonna get rid of the bottom planes, right? So I'm gonna get rid of that one. I just want the even numbered planes, I suppose. Good. Why am I doing this? Because now I'm gonna do a sketch in plane number 6. And the sketch that I'm gonna do is just of a semicircle, right? So we're gonna start drawing some joints. And these joints are just, you'll see in a moment what I mean by joint. I'm gonna draw a semicircle that looks something like that. And then I'm gonna make this line, that line be equal. And I'm gonna make that 0.15. Very good. Up. See. I'm gonna make these two lines coincident. There we go. And then 0.15. Excellent. So now what I can do is go to features, revolve. I'm gonna revolve around there. So now what I got is like, I guess, like the neck of our guy, right? So then I'm gonna make the face of the me, and it's gonna be like a ball joint, right? That way it's always moving around. If you played again with Bionicles, very similar concept in there, they were also using ball joints. That's exactly what I'll be doing now for the arm in here. So I'll go to here, sketch. Well, not in that plane. I'm gonna do plane 2. Excellently. And then I'm gonna convert entities at that point, otherwise this is gonna be difficult. Very good. I'm gonna make these two lines equal. And then these 2 points like this, then make them coincident. And then make this 0.15. I want to make it about the same size as that one. And then what we can do is another revolve. So it's a slightly modified me person, I would say, right? But it will kind of look like it. Yeah, so I have that one in there, and I'm gonna do the last ball joint over here. Uh, Convert entities. Those two equal. And then I'm gonna make a semicircle. Very good. And then a revolve. Nice. So I think I'm gonna hide all of these sketches. I don't need them. I'm gonna hide all of these planes because I don't need them. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is go here to our right plane, and I'm gonna do a mirror of the ball joints on this side. That we have them there. All right, so if you look at the me people, right, their pants tend to be a different color. So I'm gonna make it the green and black version of this one. So I'll just make this revolve one. I'll make that. Let's make it green like this. And you see that one changed color too, but I'm gonna change that to, I'm gonna change the face color to like dark. We're gonna make it wear jeans. So I'm gonna make that blue. Huh? And then I'm gonna leave it like that. Right. So try making a body like this one, and I'm gonna start going around. And just one thing is that in contrast to the morning, just because I wanna do something different with you guys, when we design the arms and when we design the legs, it's not gonna have knees and elbows. You can see the morning's video on how to do that because I want to make a drawing afterwards. So to have time for the drawing, we're just gonna make a simplified leg and a simplified arm. Just in the interest of time, I'm gonna start designing the leg as an example, right? So the leg is super easy. I go here to file new. Oh, file new. There we go. Part. So what I'm gonna do is gonna go here to sketch. I go here to front plane. It doesn't matter, and then we can modify the dimensions, right? I can just make a line that goes more or less like this, and the leg looks like it's like a cone, right? That is going downwards. So what I'll do is maybe a line like this, then another smaller line. I'm gonna give it some proper dimensions in a second. Maybe I'll make that 2. Maybe I'll make that, so our joint is 0.15, so maybe I'll make this 0.18. Maybe a little bit more, 0.2. Maybe I'll make that 0.14. And then I can go here to our render spline. Define something that looks very. That seems fine. And then I can go here to features, revolve, and I'm gonna revolve like that, our render leg. And then what I can do is here on the front plane, do another sketch. And here what I'll do is convert entities, that line. I'm gonna make that a construction geometry. And then go here upwards. And then I'll do a circle. And then I'm gonna make it 0.3, that was the size of our joint. Maybe that I'll make it 0.05. And I'll make this into a construction geometry. There we go. And nice. And I can go to features, revolve, cut. So now I have, that's gonna be the space where our joint is gonna fall. And then I can make a fillet in here. And one of my favorite types of fillets is the asymmetric fillet, where I can say, all right, I'm gonna play around. You see that it's like different. I'm gonna leave that at 0.05, and I can say I want that 0.2. Yeah, I think that looks right. So now I can save this as I'm gonna create a new folder actually. I'm gonna call it me. I'll say leg m. Leg me. I'm not sure I saved this. I need to save this one too. Body me. So now what I can do is go, well, actually, I'm gonna go still to the leg. I'm gonna color the leg. Good. Save. And now what I can do is file new. I can make an assembly. So the assembly is gonna have the body of our me, which I'm gonna bring right here. And then insert components, the leg of the me. I'm gonna have, this is a little bit of a chubby leg. As you can see, I need to modify a little bit the dimensions. But in essence, the mate that I'm gonna do is clicking on that face and clicking on that one, and it's a concentric mate. So it's a very strong me, I would say. This one has hit the gym for a while. You know, it's been leg day every day for this me in here. Because you know, or it's been eating a lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna obviously change the dimensions because it looks like an oversized me. I'm gonna make that 1.5. And don't worry about this because I'm just gonna move the points. I'm gonna make that 0.18. Me's these days, right? They eat too much. They don't play tennis on Wii Sports. They all they do is play bowling. You know, when you're playing bowling is not, or they play golf, right? You know, when golf, you're barely burning calories when you play golf. You're just riding on the little cart. Actually, there was a Wii game that was called Wii Play. That was an excellent game. Let's see whether this is a little bit better. And on Wii Play, let's see here. Yeah, still a little bit chubby. Maybe what I want to do is bring the legs a little bit closer. So a way to do that is to go back to my revolve. I'm gonna move this point here. Okay. Starting to look a little bit better. I'm still not particularly proud of this me. Maybe, let me see, check a little bit the geometry here. Well, it looks about right. I need to make the feet, right? So to make the feet for our friend the me, it's very easy. I'm gonna go back here to leg of the me. And I'm gonna do a sketch over here. Actually, the best way to do would be maybe to go to the front plane, sketch, convert entities. I'm gonna convert, not the face. I'm gonna convert entities, that line. And I'm gonna make like a little shoe. Very nice. Excellent. And I'm gonna give this some dimensions. 0.7, 0.2, No, wait, I'm gonna make my me 3.4. Same thing. And now I can do a bunch of fillets to make this look a little more like a leg. I will make it symmetric. Maybe I'll make that 0.14 or 0.12. Yeah, well, I like 0.12. The same thing on the back. And I'm gonna change the color, obviously, of this thing to blue. Oh, excellent. So now we go back to our me assembly. See that the legs start to appear, but I just need to change it. Just move it around. Because it's right now, what I could do is, yes, this is all fixed in space. But what I could do is go to that plane and I can say, I want to make a mate where, so mate, I want to mate this face with, there, I want to make it parallel. So now our leg is constrained to only move in this direction. For that one, yes. In fact, let me bring another leg. Did you make the shoe? You need the shoe then. Oh, actually, well, if you to the mate for that one is easy. It's I have like my leg in there. And one thing I could do right to bring it into correct positioning is I can rotate my leg. And then you do mate, you click on the joint and you click on the hole. And that's it. It's a concentric mate if you've done them the same at the same radius. Well, this one it's looking like it's going out on a walk, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on the face of the shoes and I wanna make them parallel. There we go. Yeah, I'm going out on a walk, you know. I need to exercise. I'm a little bit chubby. You know, it's been a long day in We Planet. So I'm gonna leave my guy like this. I'm gonna start going around to make sure that you guys are making the legs properly, and then I'll make the arm. And the arm is super easy. It's just I might copy paste the. Actually, I'll do the arm right now in case you haven't done the leg because it's a very similar concept. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to our leg of our me. I'm gonna first file save it as. Save as copy. Save as copy and open. I'm gonna call it arm me. There we go. Very good. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna get rid of this boss extrude because I don't need it. Yeah, so for those that are starting with the leg right now, the way I did it is in the following way. Let's go back to our revolve. I did a profile that looked more or less like this, right? It's to do a circular, to do a revolve, which I revolved along that axis in there. And I made it 0.18, slightly bigger than the hole that I was gonna introduce there. And this a little bit smaller, that way it has a little bit of curvature. And once I did that, I did a revolve over here. The premise for doing that is because it is in this space that it's interacting with the body of our wee person. So it's like that, and then the revolve was essentially a half circle that I defined in the following way. Now, if we go back to we, the arms are a little bit smaller. So that's what I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna go back to, yeah, and I can leave the fitted, it's fine. I'm just gonna edit a little bit the arm. Maybe I'll make it 1.25, that way it's a little bit smaller, good. I'll make it thinner as well. And I'm gonna leave everything else identical for here. The only thing that I'm gonna change is that now I'll do a quick sketch over here, and similar to our Frosty from last time, I'm just gonna make a big circle here, which is gonna come to represent our Mi's hand. Yeah, I'll make that 0.45. Like you make that a construction geometry. There we go. Excellently. Now features revolve around here. And then I can just change the color of that thing to be, actually we need to change everything to be green. There we go. I'm gonna click file, save. Then I can go back to our guy's body. There we go, and bring its arms. Insert component, arm of the me. It's a big arm, as you can see. So I'm definitely gonna be making it a little bit thinner. So I'm gonna go back to me's arm. I mean, this is just me being stylistic about it, right? Like nothing too fancy. Slightly better. And now what I can do is go here to mate, and I can mate, say, this joint and that joint. I feel like I want that to be a lot thinner. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go here to our arm. So it's a lot of back and forth, right? The way that you would design this. So I can say I want that to be actually 0.05. Starting to look a little bit better. Still, I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit more the. Oh, there we go. Now we go back to our guy over here. Oh, that's the assembly. Yeah, now it looks a little bit more decent in there. Maybe what I could change is the size of the hole in there. I'm gonna go back to the arm, and what I'll do is change. I'm gonna increase the height of that to 0.07. That way it doesn't cut too much into the material. And then maybe I'll go back to our fillet. I can change some properties about it too. Very well. And maybe the now the sphere is a little bit too big. So I can just go back here and just change that. So I'll do that right now. 45. Okay. Now that we've done all of this stuff, I think I'm just gonna add the arm, and then yes, I'll start walking around. Body. Yes. I'll be there in a second. There we go. Maybe like a funny Like a fun pose in there. All right. Who has questions? Over here. Question. The feed? Well, I went to that sketch. I just extruded it in both directions. Like or whatever dimension was that, so maybe that was 14. And I did the same thing. Yeah. And then I just fitted it. As you. I mean, it's a simple way of doing the feedback. No, I'm satisfied so far with how our guy is looking like. One last thing I want to do is here in the body, I do want to make that green. I'll make it also green, that face. A little bit green. Actually, I'm here before. Let me just do the face. Let's finish it up, right? So it's like a big egg that comes like that, which is overly sized, right? It's about the same size. So if this is about 2 inches, I'm gonna make it like this big. So we'll give it a shot. Let's see. I'm gonna do here a new part, right? So what? That one looks like an oval, right? So it's maybe I'm gonna go for 1.4 or 1.35. This is 1.35, right? And then it's gonna do a spline. A little bit wide. I think that looks about right. Let me go. Let's do a quick revolve of this thing. Huh? That's gonna be your face. But now I need to do a little in this plane. I need to do the CAD extrude to have our joint, right? I'm gonna do a little sketch, and what I'm gonna do is a center line that goes all the way from here, and I need to do a circle that is 0.3 big. More or less an idea for how big our neck is gonna be. Yeah, that maybe might do the trick. Okay. Now let's do a line that goes all the way like that. And then a semicircle that goes like this. So I can go here to features, revolve cut around here. So now we have enough space for there. And now let's choose what color could this be? Let's see. Maybe some orangey. What color is pink? Maybe that around. I know I like this color. I think it looks decent. Maybe like that. And I'm gonna call this head. And I can go back to our assembly and go here to insert components, head me, and then just do a mate between here and the head. Maybe what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bring this sphere a little bit downwards because this doesn't look quite right, I would say. So the way to do that is Again, that's why we do trial and error, right? And that was why it was useful to, what plane was that one? It was this one. So I'm gonna edit feature, which is not this plane, it is plane 6. I'm gonna flip offset. I'm gonna do the offset extensively downwards. Well, that was perhaps a little bit too much onwards, so maybe 0.14. There was, I'm just giving it enough. So the good thing about doing that is that now I go back here and what's the base? Oh no, it's back there. Now, yes, it looks a little bit better. Well, it has like a balloon as a head, right? Which is fine. Maybe I can go back to the head of the me, just make it slightly smaller. I can make it like 1.2. Yeah, it's gonna go plain. Oh, well, that would be a awkward looking one. This one has a hat now. We go back to our assembly. Yeah, it looks a little bit more decent now. And then you can make a wrap and give this some stuff. So let's try and reach a point that looks vaguely like this in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Now we can go here to motion study, right? And something that I think it's pretty cool is if I were to move my bar, this one I don't remember well how to do it, right? But say I'm at the 5-second bar, right? And I move my leg like this, you see that now it created a line like that, right? And then I can move my bar to like the 9-second time, and I can move this leg front, and it did like that. So now look at this animation in here. It's a little bit slow, right? But I can make an animation of our dude walking around, which is pretty cool, right? In fact, yeah, I know you are complaining. That's right. I made something like this. So let's take a look at that animation instead. It's hitting like a ball. So now you can have fun like playing around with this guy. In fact, maybe I want to move this one like this and then this one like that. How does that look? How about those two at the same time? Uh, So you can play around afterwards in your free time, making an animation of the guy just walking. It's like a little bit, crazy, but that's not really the point of what I want to do today because just to like, just for you to have guys have it on the videos. And now I can make a quick exploded view, right? So I can go here to new exploded view and just click on our guy. I can say done. Then on the arm, put it there. Then on our arm, and put it here. Then on our leg, bring it down. And then bring it to the side. Done. Then the same thing with this guy. Done. And to the side. So now I have an exploded view of our guy. lots of things that we can do, but really what I think is interesting is that say this was a toy, right? That you want to make like a Lego, like the instruction manual of how things come together. Then what you could do is go here to file, make drawing from assembly. Yeah, actually I should save this. I'm gonna save it as me. And I'll upload this model that way you guys can play around with it if you want and make like fun stuff with that. Make a drawing just like we did before. And I can bring, say, the front view, it doesn't matter. You see how tiny it is, right? And I'm gonna make it a lot bigger. Say 1 to 1. How big would that be? There we go, good. But now in our view, there's a little, you see how it says here showing exploded or model break state? That is what I'm gonna do. So now you can make drawings of exploded views. So that's pretty cool if you wanna portray how things are built together. And obviously this is occupying a lot of space, so I can get rid of all of this space in here, right? I can go back to edit sheet format and say, all right, all of this stuff disappear, delete. That way we have and I'm gonna show you something that is pretty cool in a moment, which is you can make tables as well. I'll show you that in a second once I finish deleting all of this stuff. And you guys can try it at home afterwards. Normally the delete button in my computer doesn't work because I'm on the laptop right now, but normally in your guys' keyboards, you should be able to just click on the delete button. Hide this line, I'm gonna bring it all the way up to here. Edit sheet, very good. Now we have our mean in there. Maybe it's a little bit too big, so I might change the scale to maybe 0.9 to 1. Let's see. There we go. That is a little bit appropriate. And then I want to show it colored. There we go. Now what I can do is I'm gonna go here to balloon, and I can say, all right, I want to. There we go. Here, and I can actually do. If you right click in there, you click control. You can also do like a balloon. You know, you can add numbers like that. A little balloon of this. So this is when you have like very big assemblies, right? And you want to portray all of the different parts that come together to make up that assembly. Clicking on that point, control, there we go. A point like that. And then you can renumber as you go, right? I can say, actually in 4, I'm gonna say, instead of item number, I'll just say text and I'll write a 1. Very good. Same thing here. Instead of item number, I'll just say text. I'm gonna write 2. That way it's ordered from top to bottom. I'm gonna write 3. And in here, text, I'm gonna write 4. Very good. But we're not done because now what I can do is go here to, where's our friend? I believe it's in insert. And I want to insert a table. And I'll just say general table. So I want to show the number and the name. So I'll make it a 2-column table with 5 rows. So I click OK. Now I can bring a little table like that. And I'm going to position it right in that little corner. I can change the size. Actually, I think you can change the size this way. Good. I'll bring it. I'll make it a little bit smaller. That way it doesn't complain. There we go. And now I'm going to change it like that. I'm going to call that row item number. And here I call it name. Oh. Very good. And I can just change the size of this. There we go. The item number, I'm going to write here 1, and here 2, here 3, here 4. So now we're starting to make more professional looking drawings, right? So here I can say, right, item number 1 is going to be me head. Then item number 2 is going to be me arms. Item number 3 is going to be me body. Then item number 4 is gonna be me legs. Very good. So now at least this, if this was a multiple page drawing, right? This would be like the front page, right? Giving you an overview of how the assembly looks like. And then you add 4 more pages individual for each one of these item numbers. And then so in here I can say, if we go back to a digit format, I can call it, for instance, S8, 2. And here I'll say me assembly. This will go downward, and then obviously the name of our company. So I'll write it here. Oh, select all of that stuff. Century. Again. Oh, actually, I did change the scale. So let me just change that to 0.91. Yeah, that looks about right. There we go. So there we have it. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second. Alrighty. Hi, folks, again. Good evening. I guess I just wanted to do one last video. As you can see, it's already 9:48, but I still want to do one last video because I promised it, of this me guy actually moving around. So I started playing around with that when I did this motion study. It didn't work that well, but I want to properly explain how would one do something like this. So hopefully you reached a point where you have an assembly like that one, or just a me person saying hi, and then we're gonna pretend that it's walking around, so I can bring it down to position. Oh, I'm gonna bring it to a position like that. It doesn't matter. It's like a happy, or me person is happy like that. So what I can say is I'm gonna go to motion study. I'm actually gonna create a new motion study. That way we can start fresh from here. So the way this works, it's all right. It's kind of hard to replicate a walking movement, I guess. So I think the way it works is that, say, I can start. I'm gonna start on this initial configuration, right? I guess this is gonna be started video. So then I can move my little time bar here. So that would be to the 1 second. And then with a little heart auto key, what I can do is I'm gonna move the leg here. And you can see that it generates some, there we go. So it generates like these keys in there. So then now I can move it to second number 2. And all I can do is move that guy there. You see how it's continuing to move. Then I can move that guy there. Excellently. Excellent. There we go. Now I can move it to second number 3. And again, this has to be enabled, right? So what I'm gonna do is bring it down there. Bring it down there. Then I'm gonna go to second number 4. I'm gonna bring this guy like that. Bring this guy like that. And then I'm gonna repeat again, bring back to the middle. Bring back to the middle. And then I'm gonna go like that. Or this one goes to the front. That one goes to the front, like that. And then I'm gonna end with these guys coming all the way to the middle. So then, if you were to see like the overall movement, you can see that our guy, boom, is walking. Very nice. It's more funny, right? There you go. So sometimes when you're running it in SolidWorks, right, it doesn't seem it's working very nicely. So yeah, so here doing it appropriately. There we go. Good. Now we're here. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna maybe go to meditate. I'm gonna bring that one back. Run. Wait, like that. Yeah, we can do just some more. Very good. And then we can end in second 11 where it's just in the middle. Good. Okay. And now that I have our person walking, Very nice, excellent. Now we can replicate a movement where, yes, it's starting like that, but now in this second, I want this arm to be there and that one to be like that. Now, in this second, oh, another like that. Now, so I want this arm, yeah, to come here and that arm to go there. Now, in this second, I'm gonna do the exact opposite. There we go. All right, so let's see how is this looking like. So I'm wondering what are the right. So I'm gonna get rid maybe of that key in there. Let's see whether that makes a difference. Right, right, right. So whenever the green key, the gray key seems to be the one that brings like the two arms. There we go. Yeah, so now our arms are like that. So now what I want to do is, so well, in this configuration, that one is in the front. So in this configuration, I'm gonna bring this bad boy to the back. Yeah, and I'll get rid of the gray afterwards. This one is in the front. That's on the back. That's on the front. So this may not necessarily be how someone walks, but this is our me person, right? So we can make it. So that was like that. Okay, very good. So that one was. Actually, I'm gonna let me get rid of all of these gray ones because I do not want them. There we go. Excellent. Now I'm curious to see how this guy walks. And maybe what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna then export this video and we'll see how it looks like. Interesting. I'm just curious to see. And so we've done it like that. I'm wondering why it stays. It's approximately right. I think what I'm gonna do is maybe sometime, you're walking. I'm gonna try. I need to even remember myself how does someone walk, right? I guess let's try a new motion style, right? I'm just experimenting here. So I guess again with the key, I wanna start in this position. How about that, right? Let's start with our guy like this. So then let's say that in second number one, this leg is gonna go back, this one's gonna go forward. So this one is gonna go to the front, this one is gonna go to the back. Then in second two, what I'm gonna do is bring everything to the, I'm gonna make it walk a little bit quicker this time. Oh, nice, 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 nice. Then on second three, I'm gonna bring you back, front, front, back. Second four, I'm gonna do front, back. My goodness, this guy, it's suffering. It's gonna be running quickly. Then in second five, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. There we go. Bring this bad boy back. And that's one forward. So it's generating new keys. Again, the way this works is by, that has to be the auto key, right? It has to be selected. So we're gonna try doing this until 10 seconds, right? So to have like 10 seconds of me movement. So this in here is how you would make a very easy animation in Solidworks, right? Or something moving or walking around. And as you can see, it's not trivial, right? And here the joints of our little me are very simplified, right? Like the arms are just very easy, like nothing too fancy. There we go. Boom. Excellent. And then on 10, you're coming back to rest because you have trained enough and you have deserved your rest. Right, so let's see. How do you look? Okay, that doesn't look too bad. So now what we can do, I guess, is I'm gonna make an animation wizard. I'm gonna rotate this for 10 seconds. Yeah, I mean the y-axis would be fine in this case. Let's do two rotations. Why not? Start time 0. Finish. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, I think that's fine. Maybe I'm gonna get rid of. I just, I just wish this was the angle instead. That way it rotates. Let me see. I think in orientation, um, I think in here, I'm gonna click in there, right? So I believe that I can potentially bring it to the. There was a way before that I can say. Um, I'm just playing around in here. I think it's generating the keys, just that we don't see it because it's overlaid by this stuff. So I'm just changing a little bit. So it's rotating. It's just, yeah, so you can see the arm, the poor arm in there. And I can just zoom in. There. Okay, how does this look like? Okay, that looks better. Um, I think I'm thinking maybe let's do yet one more motion study. Let's try again one more time. Okay, so our auto key is selected. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom this one. Yeah, well, I'm gonna start again, right? So you can see, yes, there we go. So now you can see that in orientation, it's actually doing exactly what I want. There we go. So now, leg forward, leg backwards, arm there, arm there. I'm gonna make them go up and down. I think that will be fun. All right, next second, I'm gonna make forward, backwards, up, down, and I'm gonna change the orientation to there. So you can see that, yes, now we created another key. There, this to be there. Now on free, what I wanna do is, yes, I want you to be looking like that. Maybe what I'm gonna do is there. So now you're gonna stay like that. And now in form, what I'm gonna do is go like this. There we go. You're gonna bring your arm downwards. You're gonna bring this one upwards. Very good. And now, and you can see, right, it generated a key on the orientation. Very good. And now on 5, I can just go like that. Raise your arm, lower that one. Feet upwards, feet downwards. Very good. And now on 6, here we go. You are an athlete. Very nice. And then on 7, then on 8, that's what you do. Just come like that. There we go. And then I do a very delicate. Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm just gonna make a very quick arm movement. There we go. There. No. I'm just curious about how this is gonna look like. Let's see, what have we created over here? Let's see this thing. Okay. Now, you know what would be interesting? I think, did I create an explode? Oh boy. Let's see. I'm gonna explode this. Of course, why not? And then yes, let's make it duration 3 seconds. There we go. And I think we can rebuild this guy again. Collapse. Duration 5 seconds. It's like it's auto-assembling itself. It's coming together. Okay, I'm glad. I'm happy with that. Let's see. What is this animation in here? Oh boy, this is an extremely funky guy. I like that. Okay. So folks, that's how you make an animation. You can feel free to play around with this. But thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.